ESPN's Holiday Hoops, presented by Kay Jewelers.
Lots of holiday and Christmas spirit down here in the state capital, Austin, Texas. And in fact, they're ready not only for shopping, but tonight particularly for college hoops. Welcome to Holiday Hoops, presented by Kay's Jewelers. Tonight's matchup pits the Arkansas Razorbacks against the Texas Longhorns. Coming to you from the Irwin Special Events Center in Austin, Texas. Well, just how old is this rivalry? It goes back a long ways. In fact, the 150th meeting between these two clubs. And can you believe it? You have to go all the way back to 1991. The last time that they squared off, that was for the Southwest Conference Championship. And Arkansas won it by a huge margin of 120 to 89. Hi, everybody. Ron Franklin, and welcome to Austin, Texas. And having been in this part of the world for a long time and remembering those Southwest Conference days, in this rivalry, boy, it was heated. There was hate. And I can promise you, maybe the kids of today don't necessarily remember. But there are a lot of television sets on tonight in the states of Arkansas and Texas, because the parents haven't forgotten and the grandparents have not forgotten. And they're passing the word on to the younger players.
I think you're right, Ron. They say tradition never graduates. And despite the youth of these players, I think they've been told by the fans what Texas-Arkansas means. And there's going to be some good young players on the floor tonight, not named Kevin Durant. Let's start for Arkansas with a young man named Patrick Beverly, the leading scorer in the state of Illinois from a year ago, and DJ Augustine from New Orleans, who's coming off a huge game versus home state LSU.
Rick Barnes, the head coach in his 9th season as the head man here in Austin, and 400 career wins is what he has just accomplished. Stan Heath down at the other end of the court in his 5th season as the head coach at Arkansas, looking for his 100th career victory. He is 99 and 65. Here are the starting lineups in tonight's ball game. When you look at Arkansas, McCurdy gets the start tonight. Beverly, Thomas, Weems, and Towns. And for Texas, A.J. Abrams, the only sophomore. He's the old man in the lineup. There are 4 freshmen: Augustine, Mason, James, and Kevin Durant for the Longhorns. So Durant sets to jump it up. Ball goes in the air, and it will go to the Texas Longhorns.
Man-to-man run. No, they're going to go zone early. And Sean McCurdy is surprise starter for Gary Irvin.
It'll stand. He told me today before the shoot-around as that ball is kicked, and they'll get a fresh 35. Good hustle on the part of Beverly, but they will not get the basketball. But he said today that McCurdy was going to get a lot more playing time tonight. And it was a situation where Gary Irving had a tough time as far as turnovers this past week against Texas Tech. One of the things that they have got to get out of their repertoire.
Well, 11 in the last 2 games, and this gives Irving a chance to watch the game from the bench early.
A.J. Abrams hands a 3 to open the night.
Well, one of the best shooters in the Big 12. Don't be surprised as he rounds into one of the best players in the league.
Augustine, and the ball knocked away. Sean McCurdy got back in transition and knocked the ball away, did not allow the layup.
Right away, Ron, turnover rearing its ugly head for the Hogs. McCurdy with the turnover, and Augustine goes coast to coast. Interesting, because Texas not a full court pressure team. They play their man-to-man defense inside the 3-point line.
McCurdy picks up that foul. Augustine with one more opportunity at the free throw line. You saw Abrams come rushing up to tell Augustine something, obviously on the defensive set.
Arkansas runs a motion offense. 4 out, 1 inside. Thomas, the go-to guy in the post usually.
Weems takes it inside. Towns And a whistle and a foul inside.
Where Arkansas has the advantage, Ron, is Thomas and Towns inside should be able to attack the paint, particularly because of the size and lack of experience inside for Texas.
First shot on the way, not going to come down with that one as Durant picked up the foul.
Towns, a young man from Washington, D.C., same high school that produced John Thompson, great coach at Georgetown, Archbishop Carroll.
So Darian Towns, 6'10", junior out of Alexandria.
A bit of token pressure now by the Razorbacks.
And after what happened on Saturday, what do you look for from the Razorbacks tonight, both offensively and defensively?
Well, really important, Ron, that they take care of the basketball early. Texas Tech turned them over early and then shot them out of the game with Jarius Jackson in that first half. On the road with this crowd, they must be very productive on every possession early.
It was Justin Mason who turned the basketball over for the Longhorns. So both teams bitten by that turnover bug early on. Looking inside, will take the shot, not there. Beverly on the follow when he scores. And you know, Beverly is number 2 on the team in offensive rebounding. He does a great job on the glass.
That's a great point. He averaged 37 in high school, not all from deep.
So Beverly grabs off another rebound quickly at the other end. Three-pointer, in and out, unlucky on the shot. And it's number 35, Kevin Durant on the rebound. Abrams pulls up, swishes the jumper. It's a 2, just inside the three-point line.
All started, Ron, because DJ Augustine had his head up, and he knows where A.J. Abrams is going to be.
This is Beverly. Looks up at the shot clock. There's plenty of time there. Inside, left hand, reversed it. Charles Thomas could not get it to go. He had a career high on Saturday. He was a real positive for the Razorbacks against Texas Tech.
Well, he had a point-blank opportunity right there that I know he wishes he had back. Good execution except for the miss.
Quickly back inside to him. And this one he will convert. Fran, you talked about at the shoot-around today that Thomas, they tried maybe using him on the perimeter, but he keeps winding up in the middle. That's where they want him to play.
That's right. And he and Towns in this game will really present Texas problems, Ron, because Texas not the most physical team.
Augustine just left all alone.
You know, Rick Barnes told us yesterday he is a great layup maker. It sounds like, you know, a cliche, but not a lot of guys this size finish around the rim.
Well, it looks as though Damian James will pick up the foul. No, Justin Mason, I beg your pardon. His first and the second on the team.
Well, nice block, Ron, but too easy. Ball is getting to the paint too easy.
That's going to be a travel. So again, a turnover against the Longhorns, maybe getting a little too far ahead of themselves.
Now keep your eye right now on Patrick Beverly. He's a guy that led the state of Illinois in scoring 37 points a game, and it's not all from the perimeter. You see the effort right there inside in the putback.
Beverly drives, can't go. Thomas on the follow. Good work, and he'll score the easy 2.
Now good strategy early by Stan Heath, attacking Texas inside.
Quick ball movement, 3 on the way, and Abrams, it goes without saying, is on fire.
38 threes already this season.
They trap on McCurdy, and travel called on McCurdy.
You know, I mentioned early this week in a column, Ron, that in some ways A.J. Abrams is going to be a more valuable Longhorn than Kevin Durant because he's going to be here likely all 4 years, already developing into an outstanding player.
Well, we're looking at the official score right here, and they're showing 2 turnovers. I thought that was the 3rd, but we'll double check it during the next stoppage of play. 12-7, Texas up on The Razorbacks by 5 in the early going, and that's going to be Hill, who comes out a little too far and calls the foul. And we will take a timeout as we go to break. A.J. Abrams, quite a start for the young man tonight. 8 points already, a couple of threes and a deuce. We'll be right back.
ESPN2's exclusive presentation of college basketball is presented by K Jewelers. Every kiss begins with K. And in part by Pizza Hut, where you can now get 3 pizzas for only $5 each.
So we are back in Austin, 12-7. Texas Longhorns on top, 2 turnovers apiece. And what's your assessment so far as you have seen? You talked about the good strategy, and you agreed with what Stan has done in the early going for the Razorbacks.
You're right, Ron. If they take care of they take care of the basketball, they're going to be able to get it inside.
Well, the starting lineup last year for the Texas Longhorns. And take a look at the starting 5 this year. All new faces? Yes. With the exception of Abrams, if you were a Texas follower, he played quite a bit last year. But Augustine, Mason, James, and Durant, those guys are all brand new. James moves to his left. Connor Ashley off the bench and into the ball game. Got the rebound. Augustine.
Nice. Great kick out by Abrams. That forced a hard closeout.
Abrams tipped the ball and it hit Rick Barnes right in the head. And his gesture was that he was going to punch his own player.
Well, you see that long closeout by Irvin, and that allowed Augustine to get a running start at the rim, and he makes another layup. Not a lot of movement so far in that motion offense by Arkansas.
Guerrier went in the ball game. Didn't take him very long to get him off the bench. Did it short with the shot. Augustine pushes it up. Texas has numbers. And Augustine with the spin move. Not there. The tip, and that went off the top of the glass. And it will be going back to Arkansas.
Well, Stephen Hill didn't block that shot, but he sure was in the vicinity. Young man already a 3rd leading shot blocker as a junior in Razorback history.
Rick Barnes up and hollering at one of his players, not hollering at the officials, saying that the players messed up the play, not the officials. Beverly outside. 15 seconds on the shot clock.
See, now there's not the post presence there was with Towns and Thomas in the turnover. It's a very bad angle, Ron, to feed the post from out beyond the top of the key, because it takes your post man away from the basket for him to make that catch.
Well, that bounce pass from way outside, way too far in front of Hill.
Especially when you're 6'11" and you got to bend down to go get it.
He had no field goals against Texas Tech last Saturday. And the coaches said, after the ball game that he was not just a little, he was very frustrated. But he's a good rebounder and also block shots at through your ball game. Ashley. Abrams, and a hold is going to be called on Beverly.
And one of the things you'll see from Texas, Ron, without the real inside go-to scorer a la LaMarcus Aldridge or P.J. Tucker, a lot of movement on the perimeter, dribble handoffs to free Texas's guards to be able to beat their defenders off the dribble.
It was interesting in talking with Rick Barnes before this ball game, and I asked him, I said, I know every coach has a formula for a veteran team and an experienced team. You didn't have a formula for 5 new players. As Ashley puts up a 3. I think Hunter got a piece of that one, but it came off to Abrams and he misses. And then on the follow, James with a push. But quickly to end the story, I just said, you know what? Where did you get the best advice? He said, from an old mentor of mine who said, when you got this many young kids, you better learn how to communicate, and you better teach them how to communicate with you.
Well, you're right, because when you don't have any veterans back, or very few, they're usually the guys that do the communicating and the teaching down the line. And other than Abrams, Rick Barnes does not have that.
Hunter deep in the corner. Couldn't get the 3 to go, but rebounded by Beverly. The follow, and they score it. Boy, I'll tell you what, now he is a tough kid.
Nose for the ball, huh?
Yeah. And he also could score in high school, could he not? That ball tipped in the air, taken down by Arkansas, and Irvin's going to lose it.
Nice.
And it goes back to Augustine. Augustine quickly back to Durant. Banks it high off the glass. The first two for Kevin Durant tonight.
I think everybody touched the ball on that sequence, Ron. It went from side to side, stretched the defense, and the dribble penetration opened up the lane for Durant.
Pittman prepares to check in for the Longhorns. That shot off the mark on the follow. Not there. Unlucky on that follow. And then blocked by Axley.
That's the most athletic play I've seen Axley make this season.
Durant for three.
Inside and out, last two possessions for the freshman.
So we'll take a 30-second timeout. 12:33 left in the opening half. Texas by 10.
Texas leads by 10, and Ron Franklin, they may not have the experience they had a year ago, but they have some awfully good, young, smart basketball players. Everybody touches the ball in this possession, passes up a good shot to get a great shot, opens up the drive, and then the freshman Durant finishes inside.
You notice that Mason passed up that shot. He had a couple of mistakes defensively, and I think he thought, I don't want to anger the head coach anymore right now.
Well, and he made a great play because he's giving it to a better shooter in Abrams, who then turned down a shot himself. Little zone now by Texas.
Count the shot, and Thomas will go to the line.
Arkansas spent a lot of time at the shoot-around today, working versus the 2-3 zone, and they attacked the back of the zone perfectly. They got behind the zone on the baseline. And the young man they call Manimal, Thomas, with the finish.
I'll tell you what, he had a career-high 21 points on Saturday. And, folks, he had 11 free throws in that ball game. So make no mistake about it, he may be considered one of the bigs, but he can shoot from the free throw line. And I jinxed him.
83%.
Yeah, 83%, and he missed that one. But he's lost 15 pounds, and it's really helped him. Axley couldn't get it to go. Pittman has it blocked by Thomas, but Durant is right there with the follow.
Great effort by Pittman to go strong, but Durant cleaned up the mess. Now, this is a good defense for Rick Barnes because of the length of that back line.
Welch for three, way outside. Long carom comes to Durant. Texas will slow down the pace just a little bit.
Nice pass.
Pittman was not quite ready for that one. Thomas with still another block, and that's two in the last two sequences down court.
Well, Dexter Pittman, a young man from Rosenberg, Texas, has lost 60 pounds, but not quick enough for this front line of Arkansas.
So let's take a timeout. Longhorns 21-11. So Stan Heath of Arkansas, would you look at the Division I head coaches who have been under Tom Izzo?
And we'll take a look at Doug Wojcik's Tulsa Golden Hurricane tomorrow around in Oklahoma City.
Tomorrow against the Oklahoma Sooners. That's the first game of the doubleheader we're doing up there. And then in the nightcap, Pitt and Oklahoma State. Very interesting matchup.
Should be
Pitt just losing their first game of the season in a tough place up in Wisconsin.
And Oklahoma State, the same thing. First loss at Tennessee. Two close games. I love Pittsburgh, and I love the big guy, Aaron Gray. He's gotten better every year. He's got himself into shape. And Jamie Dixon, by the way, Ron, Jamie Dixon, the former MVP of the All-College Tournament.
That's exactly right.
At TCU. First time they've used this 3-2 zone all season. Kevin Durant.
Explain why it is so important where Durant's all the way out front.
Well, he's the praying mantis up there at 6'10". He can cover ground, and that allows the wings to get out to the shooters. And yesterday, Rick Barnes really worked on this.
Nice pass inside and scorer Charles Thomas. Good pass and good work by Thomas.
Yes, it was.
Abrams. He is going to be called for rolling the ball over. Jimmy Burr, the referee in tonight's ball game, said nope, rolled it over. Augustine gets a breather, and that means 24 Justin Mason will come back in. Interesting for Arkansas. They're down 21-13 right now. They only have 3 turnovers in the first half. They're getting looks, but they're missing their shots.
Well, they are, and they don't get the pressure from Texas that they got from Missouri or Texas Tech.
Pass inside, touched by Ashley last. Shot clock, 21 seconds there.
What I do like, Ron, is they've done a nice job of taking their time and exploiting and exploring that zone. Texas has used a couple different defenses. Now the straight 2-3.
McCurdy. Nope.
Yes,
Beverly takes it away, and another offensive board for him. Way outside, swishes this one. Sonny Weems, the junior out of West Memphis, Arkansas.
He's a guy that's going to remind you of Brandon Rush. Very talented. Should be a little bit more aggressive for Stan Heat's team, but the former #1 junior college player in America and a national champion at Arkansas Fort Smith.
Yeah, that's right. Player of the year, as you said, and that team won the championship as Durant goes down. Tripped over one of the Arkansas players, and Jimmy Burr is going to change the call. He said it was touched last by the Razorbacks, and it'll go to the Longhorns. And Coach Heath is right there, and no argument from him.
Yep.
Mason.
Shot clock.
Inside of 10. In fact, it's at 6. Ashley puts up the 3. Got it.
Good recognition. Because that ball was taken out of bounds, they had the short clock.
It was a 2 rather than a 3. Thomas on the turnaround. That's short. Whistle and a foul on the floor inside. And Durant is the man who is saying, was that really me?
Well, you should never foul a post player when you're double teaming him. The key there is to make him kick it out. The double team came too slow. That allowed Towns to get in rhythm.
And you notice Rick Barnes is talking with Jimmy Burr, but he's not fussing at him. He fussed at his own player. Beverly, nice quick pass to McCurdy. Skip pass. McCurdy puts it on the floor, and the ball blocked by Ashley. That's his second block of the ball game.
Well, McCurdy got in too deep. Didn't want to shoot the jumper. He had missed one in the possession before, so he put it on the floor, and then he got him stuck in no man's land. And interesting, Ron, McCurdy, the son of Bob McCurdy, who led the country in scoring in 1975 at Richmond. More of a playmaker for Stan Heath.
Different styles of play. Gary Irvin checks back into the ball game for the Razorbacks. 0-0 at the point guard.
It's okay. That's legal.
In fact, he could go all the way into the backcourt if he wants to receive that pass. Thomas puts it on the floor, muscles his way forward. And I'll tell you, Thomas has been the difference in the ball game for Arkansas so far.
Well, I think they ought to put that experiment of him playing on the floor in their back pocket because he is a scorer inside. They did that because they wanted to get the big lineup in there early in the year, but he's more effective.
Weems is the man who's leaning on Durant. Ball is on the floor, picked up by the Longhorns, and Durant quickly back to Abrams, ahead to Ashley. Ashley! Oh, what a play!
Little half turn. The defender thought he was going to dribble it back out to reset it, and he snuck by him on the baseline. Heads up.
And Texas back to that 3-2 zone again.
Different looks now. Arkansas's got to look inside, and you got to watch the lob also.
Three-pointer on the way, too hard off the front of the rim. Beverly again with a hustle play.
How about that?
And I think they'll get Ashley for the foul. I'll tell you, Beverly is a tough kid.
Well, watch this first, Ron. Watch how Ashley spins like he's going back out. Little hesitation move, and that gave him that baseline drive. But you are right. Patrick Beverly with a great feel for the game. And interestingly, Ron, not highly recruited, coming out of Chicago Marshall High School.
So both Hills checking into the ball game. Stephen comes back in.
It's a hair-raising.
Matt Hill on the right.
Hair-raising experience.
Oh, God. You've been waiting all night.
I know. I'm trying to think of one. Hair club for men, not.
Not is exactly right.
Yep.
So it's 25-20. The Razorbacks clawing their way back into this one.
One of the things Texas will do now is lots of screens on the ball.
Augustine. He'll take it to the hoop, and it is blocked inside by Hill of Arkansas. Lead pass out to Beverly, and Beverly is going to the line for a couple.
You know, he wanted to pass it, but he recognized the defender was out of control, and he threw his body into a heads-up play.
Mason with a foul. We'll take a timeout. 5-point Longhorn lead.
Scoring the Cats 25-1 in the first half, guys.
So our situation, 25-20. Arkansas has cut that lead in half. Great year for freshmen. You got any franchise players on here?
Well, there are a few, Ron. Remember, a lot of these guys could not go right to the NBA. And Oden, and of course, the great player at Ohio State. Now, DJ Augustine, I had a tough choice here because Michael Conley and Tywan Lawson. Conley at Ohio State, Lawson at North Carolina. All three freshmen playing outstanding basketball. But DJ Augustine asked to do a little bit more maybe for Texas than Conley and Lawson.
You know, Beverly, I talked about what a tough kid. Look at these numbers. He is a guard, folks, and he's down there in the tall trees. 7 rebounds already, and 6 of those on the offensive end. Well, he may move to #1 on the offensive boards for the team tonight.
And he's got as you mentioned, he's got a great feel for the game. He verbally committed to Toledo, didn't sign, and then had a great senior year and chose Arkansas over St. John's and Michigan. And already an impact player for Stan Heath out of Chicago.
Beverly with 8 points to go along with Charles Thomas with 8. Texas being led by Abrams with 8 and 7 points for Durant. Durant with 2 fouls, still in the ball game. James along the baseline has it blocked by Hill. Gets it back over to Durant. He'll put up the 18-footer and knocks it down.
How about that? Right over Stephen Hill with that length. Durant like a drink of water.
You know, the Arkansas coaches were asking an interesting question at the shoot-around today. They said, how far into the season will he be able to take those kind of shots and still knock them down?
Well,
Mason with a steal. Gets it back to Durant for the jam.
You know what the answer is? There's about 20 NBA scouts here that want that same answer. The thing about Durant that's been impressive last 2 games, he hasn't had to score, and Texas still playing well.
Well, Mason has really stepped up. Also, Augustine, 2 youngsters learning rapidly and having to learn with baptism under fire every night. Weems passes inside, and Thomas with the left hand couldn't get it to go. Thomas blocked inside by Hill, and then he gets the 3rd one to go.
And a much quicker jumper than the freshman Hill that time. He got up 3 times to Hill's 1.
Weems with the foul.
And Ron, Hill challenged the first shot. Keep your eye on that matchup right in here. You see he gets the first shot defended, but then look how slow he is to react. And Thomas just stays with it with the follow.
Thomas, as we mentioned early on in the first half, lost 15 pounds this year. It was not muscle that he lost. It was weight that he really didn't need. And he said he feels as though he's a better jumper and a quicker jumper. Durant, he was fouled, I believe, by Weems.
Well, that's where Rick Barnes has that opportunity to use Kevin Durant in a lot of different ways. But, you know, you lose 15 pounds, and it's like taking a 15-pound weight vest off you.
Yeah. So Durant goes to the free throw line.
You know, and speaking of 15 pounds, this guy is 15 pounds away from being just a great player.
Oh, Saturday ESPN has a college basketball doubleheader first at noon. It is the Texas Longhorns taking on the Tennessee Volunteers, and then followed by, at 4:30 Eastern time, Bob Knight goes for what could be a record-tying game against Bucknell, who, by the way, won over Xavier tonight.
In Cincinnati, so they head to Lubbock on a high. Pat Flannery's team, of course, beat this Arkansas team in the first round of the NCAA tournament in Dallas, and the year before that knocked off Kansas.
7-point ball game, about to go under 6 minutes left in this opening half. And Durant goes to the bench with the 2 fouls. The head coach, I assume, saying, let's don't take a chance. Beverly, who has had the sure hands rebounding, was trying to move before he got the basketball.
That's exactly right. He was open. He knew he was, but he had to catch the ball first.
Couldn't wait for it to get there.
You had a few wide receivers do that this year. He's looking for the end zone.
So Texas sets in their half-court offense, and this is a little bit slower play than we have seen from them. Hill with his 3rd block of the ball game. Off to Irwin, back to Beverly, who is fantastic in transition. Shows you exactly why the coaching staff really thinks he is going to grow into a huge asset for the Razorbacks. Mason, not there. Hustled by James, fouled by Hill.
Well, this started because of this block shot by Stephen Hill, young man from Branson, Missouri. And you got to go at him. There's no body contact there. That allows Arkansas in transition. Really nice 2-on-1 dish by Gary Irvin.
Well, we've talked a lot about Patrick Beverly as James knocks down this free throw. And Beverly, it's amazing when I hear you say that he was not heavily recruited as James gets both of them and puts Texas up 33-26. This young man not only led the city of Chicago, but led the entire state of Illinois in scoring 37 a ball game.
And 9 times over 40. Chicago Public League, of course, great competition. Got him.
Irvin, and he got it. So Arkansas turned a bad situation into a good situation.
Perfect example right there. And Arkansas now stays in that zone, Ron. And it looks, I'll tell you what, it's a combination defense. It's a box and one on Abrams.
Abrams got those quick 8 points, and they have not allowed anything since. But the coaching staff said, we're not going to let him kill us.
And this just also gives a young team another defense to look at.
Mason falling away, and a young man from Amarillo, Paladura, knocks down the shot high off the glass. He has really shown a great aptitude early to continue to show his prowess.
I think Rick Barnes compares him to Royale Ivy, which I think is a high praise.
Hill working against Ashley. Clock now under 4 minutes to play in this first half. And it has been a very entertaining first half. Texas leading by 7. They were up in double digits, but Arkansas came back because Thomas unlucky on that shot. The ball's going to stay with Arkansas and will take a timeout. Rick Barnes really did not agree with that call. We'll be right back.
Now, back to Ron and Fran.
Okay, thanks so much from the state capital of Texas, Austin. And a pretty good crowd here tonight, considering that exams, I was told by the players, ended yesterday, so everybody is headed home for Christmas, but not everybody. And a lot of folks, a lot of locals, I guess, who don't get in when the students are here, took this opportunity tonight to see what is always an entertaining matchup between the Longhorns and the Razorbacks.
You know, it reminds me, the novelty may have worn off a little bit, but it's sort of like interleague play. You're curious, but we certainly remember Abe and Eddie and Nolan and Tom Penders.
Augustine almost came away with another turnover against Arkansas. Beverly holds up the 3, not there. James Skies for the rebound for the Longhorns. Nice bounce pass, and the whistle and the foul on Hill.
Arkansas foul charge number 51.
Well, 7 years as the head man here at Texas. Abe Lemons, 2 Southwest Conference championships. He and Eddie Sutton had some real square-offs. They did.
Real ones.
Yeah. 1978 NIT champions. That foul, the second on Hill, and the coaches are going to get him to the bench with under 3.5 minutes to play. There's a look at Coach Sutton right there. 11 years at the University of Arkansas.
The triplets, of course, the great players. Marvin Delp, Ron Brewer, Sidney Moncrief.
Yeah, they were really special.
Darrell Walker. Alvin Robertson, who played for Bob Knight on the '84 Olympic team from Barberton, Ohio. Abe Lemons, who uttered those immortal words after they beat Arkansas. Guys, we get to go home. They have to stay in Fayetteville, which I don't echo those sentiments, but...
oh, my. That ruffled the feathers even more. Not that they needed ruffling to begin with. Irwin, 9 seconds on the shot clock. Hands to 3. And now, all of a sudden, Arkansas taking a little more time on their shots, and these shots are beginning to fall, which they did not early.
Great point. And Gary Irvin, Ron, much more under control in this game as opposed to the 11 turnovers in the previous 2. A man from Brooklyn, New York, the transfer from Mississippi State.
Razorbacks in a 2-3 zone. Deep in the corner, three-pointer, not there. James tips it away, and I don't think Beverly could save it. But again, that signifies just what this young guy stands for. I mean, he is Mr. Hustle in every direction.
We had a chance to watch him in Orlando in November, and he didn't know who I was. He came over to me at the tournament banquet, just stuck his hand out and introduced himself. Coaches told me he's that way with people, just a good young freshman.
What'd you tell him, friend? Who'd you tell him you were?
Jimmy Dykes.
Oh, nice running jumper right there. Justin Mason gets the 2 to fall. Lob pass just a little too far for Thomas.
Well, Justin Mason, the least heralded of this freshman class, young man from Amarillo. High school teammate of Oklahoma's Austin Johnson. Very good program at Paladuro High School out there. The likelihood, Ron, Kevin Durant's going to leave after this year, but Rick Barnes has a lot of guys like that Roy Ivy type that are going to develop into good 4-year players. Mason among them.
Well, the young men we're not seeing much of tonight, Matt Hill, who has been playing quite a lot. We were told just before the ball game, a stomach virus, so we haven't seen much of Matt, number 21. Welch outside, drains the 3, and now all of a sudden, Arkansas coming alive from beyond the arc. 39-34, actually in the follow, and he'll make it 41-34. Longhorns with 90 seconds left until intermission.
How about that play created by DJ Augustine, getting deep into the lane and drawing defenders to him, and the kick out.
Actually, silly foul there as he reached over the top.
DJ Augustine pushes this ball coast to coast, gets in deep, the kick out. And the good unselfish play we've seen all night from this young Longhorn team.
Ashley goes to the bench and gets a breather. 6 points for him on the night. 27 minutes, 9 points, and 6 rebounds against the LSU Tigers. Kind of a coming out party for him. And Rick Barnes told me last week that he told the entire coaching staff, he said, the kid had a tough time at Madison Square Garden when we went up there early to play, and I really assessed it as we were a little too tough on him. And he said, I told the staff, back off of Connor. He's going to be a good player. Let's don't tear down what we've been building up.
Well, that's a great point, Ron. I worked for Rick Barnes earlier in his career at Providence, and where he's really changed is how he's really, I think, been more of that kind of coach that's going to let guys grow into roles. And he was very tough early in his career on players.
Matt Hill, who I was talking about with the stomach virus, off the bench and back in the ball game. That knocked out of bounds by Arkansas. 26 seconds in the shot clock, 1:07 on the game clock.
You get 8 McDonald's All-Americans to come here. You're going to change your style a little bit because you can't beat them into the ground.
Abrams off the mark on that one. He got 8 points early. But the 3 has failed to fall since then. 2 of 4 from beyond the arc tonight. 3 of 6 overall for the 8. And he's got 1 rebound.
See, right now you got to get the ball to the wing if you're going to create a passing lane to the post. Or you drive it.
Tough move by Charles Thomas. And Tough is his middle name. Manimal is what Fran said earlier is the nickname that he was given.
And I think, Ron, because of the size of the Arkansas front line, Stan Heath wanted to play him as a small forward, but we've seen him do his best work around the lane.
Well, Saturday, ESPN is a college basketball doubleheader. First at noon Eastern, Texas Longhorns take on the Tennessee Volunteers. That game up in Knoxville. And then at 4:30, Bob Knight goes for what could be his record-tying game against Bucknell. Holiday Hoops presented by Kay Jewelers on ESPN Saturday. And as we mentioned, and in case you missed it just a moment ago, it was a win tonight over Xavier for that ball club that Bob Knight will square off against on Saturday. So Bucknell winning by 68-67.
Bucknell with Chris McNaughton, a senior center who's from Germany, who's been a very good player for Pat Flannery. Remember, as I mentioned earlier, they knocked off Arkansas in the NCAA tournament first round. Now I'm going to be curious that Tennessee-Texas game, what color suit Bruce Pearl wears. will he get the creamsicle orange out of the dry cleaner in time? That's the big question.
The creamsicle orange. Okay, 36 ticks left on the clock in this opening half. Texas by 4. And the differential between game clock and shot clock is about 2 seconds, maybe just a touch more. So Texas is going to run it down. Irwin out front trying to apply some pressure on Augustine. Shot clock about to go under 10, excuse me.
Well, he should be able to get into the lane.
Spin move, and it's taken away. Avery got the steal. Beverly came away with it, and one extra pass too many. And we are at halftime. Boy, James came very close. I don't know if that shot would have counted or not. Patrick Beverly, 10 points, 8 rebounds, almost a double-double in the first half for the young man, number 21, out of Chicago. So we are at halftime. Texas 41 and Arkansas 37. Now let's go to the Kay Jeweler halftime report with Scott Reese and Stacey Dales.
All right.
41-37 here in Austin tonight as the Arkansas Razorbacks have made a good job of coming back against these Texas Longhorns down by 10 points at a time. And I'm not sure that there's any great mystery in what they've done. They just started hitting their shots, which they were not doing earlier in the ballgame.
Absolutely, Ron. They've taken care of the basketball, which has allowed them to make some shots. Only 6 turnovers. But in this game, we talked about the freshmen and the brilliance of the young players. Starts with Kevin Durant, who everybody knows. Outstanding first half, 13 points on only 6 shots. You saw the penetration, the kick, and then the deep range by Durant. But how about a guy that a lot of people didn't know coming into this season, barely a top 100 player, the 6'1", 172-pound Patrick Beverly out of Chicago Marshall High School, Ron, who almost had a double-double in that first half.
10 points, 8 rebounds, and the amazing thing about, of those 8 rebounds that he came up with, 6 of them are on the offensive end of the floor. What do you detect right here and looking at these? Arkansas was around 35% for a goodly part of the first half. They're up 7% shooting.
One of the things I like that Stan Heath has done, we said this at the top, was go inside. But one Achilles heel for Texas is their front line. They start really 5 perimeter players right now. Arkansas 22 points in the paint.
So Weems will inbound the ball to start the second half right here in front of us. Jimmy Burr, the referee in this one tonight. And the 2 umpires, J.B. Caldwell and Mike Thibodeau.
Texas goes zone, Ron, right from the top.
You surprised?
No, Rick Barnes has done this a lot in the past. Changes defenses, and that zone has been very effective for him. Arkansas has some good set plays versus the zone.
Good look inside. That's Towns. And he swishes it right at the free throw line.
They tried to get Thomas inside. It collapsed the defense. Towns open in that high paint area. Good execution.
You know, the kind of thing that a head coach does not like to see happen over the second half. The ball was about to be inbounded. There was no one there to receive the pass for Texas. And a push and a foul called on Arkansas.
Arkansas foul charge number 0.
Gary Irvin picks up the foul.
It's his first. It's the first team.
First one on him and the first team foul here in the second half. So Arkansas with a rash of turnovers early, but they cut that in half. Actually, as they cut it in half, they only had twice as many, 3 early and 6 total for the half. Beverly.
Yep. He can hurt you inside, Ron, but he is more known for that deep range.
Now the crowd getting a little restless here at the Irwin Center. Texas trailing Arkansas 42-41. Not until that shot right there, though.
Very poised freshman, DJ Augustine. Beverly on one end, and then the other youngster on the other end.
I have a feeling, typical of Arkansas and Texas, we're in the midst of what's going to be a shootout, as they always have had. Thomas got it to go.
Good job. He took that ball right through the lanky Durant. Talked about Kevin Durant needs to put some meat on those bones, and Thomas taking advantage.
Thomas has got 15 points to go along with 4 rebounds.
Nice.
Little scoop shot, nice job. Justin Mason is another one. We keep talking about the freshman for Arkansas, the freshman for Texas. Justin is really coming along and learning quickly.
And that's what's been important for Texas as of late. They have not had to rely on Durant scoring.
26-16 to points in the paint now. Arkansas leads that by a margin of 10 points. Left alone along the baseline, and a sweet swisher there by Darian Towns.
Arkansas has run good stuff versus this zone. They've gotten the ball and good opportunities to score.
Durant steps back, a little too hard off the back iron. James on the follow, put up an air ball, gets his own rebound, and he'll go to the line for a couple. And I believe Darian Towns will get the foul, yes.
Ron, you just heard me mention that Texas starts 5 perimeter players. Damian James comes out of high school as a small forward, but with this lineup, he can be the one guy that causes havoc inside for a defense because of his strength, toughness, and quickness. And something typical of Rick Barnes' teams, the dominance inside. Little different recipe this year without Tucker, Aldridge, and the like, Buckman.
That's the first miss from the free throw line for the Longhorns tonight. They're at 9 of 10, 90%. Razorbacks are 6 of 9.
See, Rick Barnes now has gone back to that 3-2, but this time Mason at the top with Durant inside.
Lob pass in the jam home, Sonny Weems.
Every team in the country has that play in their zone offense repertoire. You can get that about once a game. They screen the back of the zone. Good execution.
Arkansas back on top, 48-47. We have just played the first 3 minutes of the second half. Abrams, all of a sudden, that shot has gone away for him. Beverly, largest lead of the ball game for the Razorbacks, 51-47, a 4-point margin, and a timeout. Let's see, did Rick Barnes call it? Did Arkansas call the timeout? No, play on, okay.
The zones have really played into Arkansas's hands because they have not turned the ball over as much tonight as they have in the last 2 games. Now Texas goes back to man-to-man.
I think Mason just picked up a cheapy foul.
Take a look at this, Ron. Every team in the country has this lob versus the zone. They're going to screen the back of the zone here, set up the lob. Watch how it's done. James gets caught outside of that screen.
Back to live action. Thomas is really just wreaking havoc on the boards and getting second chance points just by sheer hustle and muscle. So let's take a timeout. The other guy who is the thorn in the side of the Texas Longhorns is number 21, Beverly. That three-pointer, 16 for him now on the night. Arkansas leads by 6. They did not lead at all in the first half. Texas led by 10, and now all of a sudden it's the Razorbacks.
Well, Patrick Beverly knocks down 2 threes. What's that do? It opens up the inside of the defense. Texas has now got to be concerned with the inside-outside attack of Thomas and Beverly, and you see points in the paint, Ron. It started early in this game with Stan Heath going inside, trying to exploit that young Texas front line. It's starting to pay off now.
All right, if you're Texas, what do you alter?
Well, they're in a quandary now because they can't guard in the man-to-man because of foul trouble. Rick Barnes doesn't want to do that, and the zone has been porous, so they're going to have to figure out something inside, and that's a good way to go.
Durant picks up the 2 after the nice bounce pass inside.
See, they're playing a man-to-man now. What you got to do is force Arkansas to turn the ball over. The zones have not done that tonight.
Nice lob inside, and I'll tell you, that time Towns, but the Razorbacks doing a great job of saying, we're going to take it inside, you got to come up with a way to stop it. And that pass was perfect.
Great pass, and there was no pressure on the passer, which led to the easy look inside.
Durant, left-handed dribble, kisses it off the glass. Is it going to be Durant who will take it in his own hands and bring the Longhorns back? Still a 4-point ball game. Towns, tough trip, and who is right there to rebound? Thomas, can't get it. The ball tipped up in the air, and Texas comes away with it. Mason with the bounce pass inside to James. May have gotten away with a walk and put up an air ball. They said no, it was touched by Arkansas, so it'll be Texas basketball. When we come back, 14:54 left in the ball game. Razorbacks by 4. Coach Bob Knight on the brink of history. In fact, the next 3 games for the Texas Tech Red Raiders will be right here on ESPN2. We will be out on the South Plain on Saturday for the meeting with Bucknell. That's a 3:30 local time tip, 3:30 Central. And then Vegas comes up after that in New Mexico on January the 1st.
Yep. And Texas Tech coming off what Bob Knight said might have been one of their best performances in 2 years, and the win in Little Rock Saturday over this Razorback club.
Hill comes into the ballgame, giving Thomas a breather, who has been doing overtime work in the middle. And I'll tell you, Arkansas in the second half, 8 of 11, 72%. That's the reason they've got their first lead of the night.
You are right. Beverly's 2 threes, and then they continue to pound it inside.
Augustine fights his way to the hoop, and finally it goes down.
Told you earlier, Ron, he's a great layup maker. He's got a good feel for where the defender is vis-a-vis where the rim is. Key now for Texas is to cause some sloppiness with turnovers.
Beverly inside to Hill, and that's the first turnover, if it is in fact a turnover. It will be with the foul called on Hill, his 3rd. The first turnover that they've had since back in the first half.
Watch this body control now by Augustine. The freshman from New Orleans has had to do a lot for Rick Barnes. Gets to the rim, avoids the shot blocker, 2 of them, and able to kiss it around and in. Remember, he took over the LSU game in the second half in the win in Houston.
Texas trails by 2. They led by as many as 10 in the first half. Durant was about to fall down and very wisely dished it off to a teammate. 3-pointer. We don't just have to shoot layups, he says.
Very composed. Young man from Brother Martin High School. 2 state championships finished up because of the tragedy of Katrina in Houston.
1-point lead by the Longhorns again. Whistle and a foul on the floor. Is that James he's pointing at? Yeah. Damian James, the freshman out of Nacogdoches.
Now he's normally, as I mentioned, a small forward who's got to go hand-to-hand combat with the size inside of Arkansas.
Lob pass, Augustine touched the ball, and it was touched last by Hill of Arkansas.
And Texas has turned up the heat. Very passive for much of this game because they were in zone. A little bit more pressure has rattled the Razorbacks a little bit.
Stan Heath thought that ball was touched last by the Longhorns, and at first that was the call I was about to make. I thought Ashley was the man who actually knocked it out of bounds, but they said nope, Hill still got a hand on it. Longhorns by 1. Bounce pass on the floor, and Texas comes up with it. Error says it'll stay with the Longhorns.
It started a sloppy pass by Augustine, but good hustle by both teams. Beverly's done a nice job tonight, Ron, on A.J. Abrams.
Really has. A.J. had the early 8 points, and he's still got 8 points now. Durant steps toward the hoop, scores it, and an opportunity for a three-point play. Okay, so they're not going to count the hoop then.
No, Jimmy Burr right there on the baseline. Let's see if he's in the act of shooting. Of course, you can't hear the whistle, but and that's that's close. That active shooting is when you start to raise the ball into your normal shooting motion. But
as you said, no, Burr was right there
and
said that nope, it was not in the act of shooting. Weems picked up the foul.
I learned a long time ago not to argue with Jim Burr. Trust me.
Augustine, boy, what a quick step. He just breezed right by Thomas. Towns with the rebound, and almost stolen by Augustine.
See, I would rather have Augustine the ball now than to post up Durant. Augustine will find Durant, but also can create for everybody else. With Durant in the post-up, you're going to have a lot of standing around.
12:35 left in our ball game. Arkansas and Texas, so what do we have? We got a shootout. Inside they go. Continuing to back it in. Towns too short on the shot, and saved by Texas.
Great hustle play by James.
Durant. Stan Heath set up soon enough.
Well, Damian James didn't get the assist, but he started the play with great hustle. Ball going out of bounds. Can't call timeout this year, but if you know where your teammates are, you're going to gain the possession. Keep your eye on this. Missed shot. James with the hustle, the kick out, and then it's off to the races, and you do not, if you're Stan Heath, want this guy filling the lane.
You notice, look at this, 1, 2 steps, and that's all the way from the sideline, and he almost overran the basket. I mean, doesn't take you very long to get there, does it?
That's the beauty of Kevin Durant. If you looked in the dictionary under NBA small forward, there'd be a picture of him because he is going to be the prototype, Ron, particularly when he fills out into his body. Remember this, a lot of freshmen come to college now at 19 or 20, 21 years old. He turned 18 in September.
This is an 11-2 run by the Longhorns. And if you've just joined us, Texas led by 10 in the first half, but Arkansas came roaring back, shooting 72% to open the second half. They went in front by 6, and now the Longhorns have gone back on top by 3, 58-55.
Texas has turned up the steam on the perimeter for Stan Heath now. You've got to handle the ball so you can go inside and exploit that front line.
Texas now with a little and it's stolen. Augustine, and the ball is blocked from behind. And guess who? Beverly. And they get it right back. And he scored. Augustine.
Couldn't. In hockey, they didn't clear the zone.
At the other end, foul Damian James on Sonny Weems, who had already made up his mind he was going to take it strong to the hoop. So we're going to take a timeout. When we come back, we will tell you the amazing story of DJ Augustine. Texas leads by 5. Texas leads by 5, and you're looking at Daryl and Vanessa Augustine. In the late summer of 2005, when Hurricane Katrina hit New Orleans, the world of Texas basketball standout DJ Augustine was turned upside down.
You know, it was a plan. You know, we always come up with a plan, and my mom, she usually gets the family together, you know, decide where we're gonna go. I think the hurricane hit that Monday, and probably by Tuesday, Wednesday, you know, I watched the news, and you know, it was like, and I might not be able to go back to New Orleans. And so I mean, it was tough, you know, adjusting to a new place, Houston, Texas, and a new school. So, like I said, my family helped me out. They kept me strong, you know, and I made it through.
Well, the family, Ron, has relocated to Houston. They may move to Austin to be closer to their son, but I got goosebumps talking to DJ the last couple of days. One thing he told me, he said, no matter where I live the rest of my life, my heart will always be in New Orleans. And Brother Martin High School, where he went his first 3 years, allowed him to graduate with his diploma in the spring, and it meant a lot to be back amongst friends and family. And he's off to a great start here in Texas, and Rick Barnes has relied on him to be a leader from that point guard spot.
Trying to tell you what else. He not only has done a great job on the court, in the classroom, he had a 3.7 for first semester. And you know what he said he wants for second semester? A full point. I said, that's in the middle of basketball season. He said, I still want a 4 points. So
when you talk to him, you know that's not out of the realm of possibility.
Ashley comes down with the rebound. So a 4-point ball game. Texas 60-56.
Little zone now as Arkansas changes up. Texas was in rhythm versus the man.
McCurdy back into the ball game. You can see Sean, number 14, out of Westport, Connecticut.
Got to keep your eye on A.J. Abrams now versus this zone.
Durant. Ashley all alone in the corner. Could not get that three-pointer to go. And Michael Washington, a young man out of McGee, Arkansas, at 6'10", 230. First time we've seen him tonight, but great for rebounding purposes.
He's not hesitant at all. Comes right in the game and attacks the rim.
First foul on Matt Hill. Fourth team foul against the Longhorns. 14 fouls against the Razorbacks in the second half as well. Deep in the corner, Beverly.
Good play, Ron. That's a soft spot of the zone, the deep corner when you're taking it out of bounds.
19 points for Beverly to go with 8 rebounds. 1 point, Texas lead. Durant way outside, ball tipped away, taken down by Weems.
A.J. Abrams has got to get involved versus that zone because he'll stretch the defense.
Weems, three-pointer. Arkansas back on top, 62-60.
You haven't mentioned Sonny Weems much tonight, but very skilled. Probably needs to be more aggressive, but does pick his spots and doesn't force anything.
Now, one of the things about him, he is a big-time athlete. Abrams, nope, off the mark again. Weems rebounds. He'll push it for the Razorbacks. Pulls up just inside the free throw line and could not get it to go. And a whistle and a foul on Ashley.
Keep your eye on this, Ron. Versus the zone, a lot of times you fall asleep on the man in the deep corner. You see Beverly sneak down there. That's that freshman Moxie from Chicago we talked about. Too late. Knocks it down.
Hill will go to the bench. Matt, as we mentioned in the first half, suffering from a stomach virus, so he does not stay on the floor very long. James comes in replacing him. That inbounds pass. Arkansas a little fortunate to get that one after it bounced off a toe. About to go under 10 minutes to play in the ball game. Kicks it back outside. Weems short on the jumper. Augustine has it knocked away, and the Longhorns secure it. Beverly.
That foul almost could have been on McCurdy because he pushed Beverly out to guard Augustine, pushed him into Augustine.
Second team foul on Beverly as McCurdy goes back to the bench, and Irvin back in the ball game.
See, Ron, A.J. Abrams doesn't have to shoot it, but he's got to get touches versus his zone.
Durant.
How about that?
That answers that question.
Yep.
The coach is saying this morning, how long are those shots going to go? And it just seems like he wills it in or something.
Soft touch, soft touch. Look at the traffic in there, but watch how soft this ball lays on the rim. When you talk about a shooter's bounce, that's not an accident or a luck. That's by design. A soft shot will deaden on the rim, and he got the roll.
And he misses the free throw. So Texas has now missed 2 free throws in a row after they had canned 9 straight.
From Arkansas now, I go inside.
Foul on the Longhorns, and again, it's Weems who is forcing the issue, taking it inside along the baseline, trying to reverse the shot.
It's the 6th team foul.
This is Arkansas's best lineup now. You have the shooter and Beverly, Weems, the athlete, and the 2 bruisers inside.
That's 5 fouls on James. Justin Mason prepares to check back into the ballgame, and I would assume it would be for James. Yep, that's going to be the case. Now, Damian is 6'7", and Justin Mason only 6'2", so how are they going to rotate things as far as the 5 on the floor?
Well, Stan Heath is thinking the same thing, because the next time down, they're going inside, because now more pronounced size advantage for the Razorbacks.
Arkansas on top by a couple, under 9.5 minutes to play. First time that these 2 teams have met since 1991, and that was in the Southwest Conference Championship game, won by a huge margin by Arkansas. Abrams, boy, he cannot get that 3 to go. The tip inside by Durant wouldn't go, rebounded by number 5, Towns, and Towns is injured. He injured an ankle. Good round of applause for Towns as he will limp to the bench, and we'll see if they have to retape that that ankle. I think he collided with Beverly.
Well, that makes sense, because Beverly's always around the ball.
For 51, Stephen Hill returns.
Yep, stepped on his the side of his foot.
See, the problem Abrams is having now is he's shooting out of those corners versus the length of Thomas and Weems.
Well, the trap, and Beverly throws it off the Texas player, and the lob pass, and Hill missed the dunk. How can you miss that? And then Beverly picks up the foul, his 3rd.
Unfortunate, because Beverly made an unbelievably heady play, threw it off the Texas defender, got it back, and Hill could not catch this lob pass. This is heads up. He's in that idiot corner, I call it, with my 8th graders, where you don't want to pick up that ball. He did, but he got it back, and then just the fumble.
Wow.
I don't want to bring up Jackie Smith, but got to make that play.
Boy, Texas now with 3 straight misses at the free throw line at a very critical time, with Arkansas having taken the lead at 64-62.
If Arkansas takes care of the ball now, they'll have the opportunity to attack the paint.
Beverly, quick pass inside Hill, and he'll score this one. First points for him tonight.
That's where the mismatch is now, and Stan Heath done a nice job of exploiting that.
4-point margin. Arkansas. Mason for 3. Not there. The follow. Durant tried to get the tip. Texas knocked it out of bounds, touched it last, and it'll be ball Razorbacks. And now full court pressure by the Longhorns. Hill looking for some help, gets it back over to 0-0 Gary Irvin. Weems, skip pass. Beverly for 3. Nope, not there. Hill with the tip, gets the rebound, can't get the follow, and he's fouled on still another follow.
Well, Hill has made his presence felt in that paint.
So we'll take a timeout. 7:54 left. Arkansas, 66-62. All righty, our situation. Arkansas never led in the first half. They have led by as many as 6 here in the second half, and they're on top again now by 4. Texas led it in the first half at the 12:34 mark by 10 points. So, as we have said several times already, it is turning into a typical matchup between Arkansas and Texas.
Well, Arkansas has done a very good job on this young man, A.J. Abrams. Versus the zone, Ron, he loves to set up in those corners. He knocked down 8 threes this year against Chicago State, but this is a different situation because of the length of that back line of Arkansas getting out to Abrams and contesting those shots.
Well, he shot with a great deal of confidence early in the ball game, and since then it has just gone away. But I'm sure that the coaches would like for him to continue to shoot, because once he starts another streak, he can be just as hot as anybody.
But Stan Heath knows that as well, so they've got to get him covered.
Missed the second one, tip. Arkansas took it out of bounds, so it'll be Longhorn basketball. 7:51 left in our ball game. Rebounding in the contest, Arkansas now 35 boards to 25 for Texas.
See, Arkansas is going to sit in that zone again. Jim Burr administrating.
Undoubtedly, we have just been told in the truck that somebody has a whistle in the crowd.
There were nights I was coaching that was a good thing for me, but not with this veteran crew. Jim Burr is the officer on the street corner from the old Leo Dorsey movies.
Yeah.
You don't mess with him. You let him just take care of business.
He is an extremely good official. And for everybody that thinks that he might be for one team or the other, I don't think, as we talked before the ball game, Jimmy doesn't care who wins.
No, he doesn't. You see how much pressure now Abrams will get. He's not going to get a lot of looks.
Abrams, plenty of time on the shot clock, just 1 under 10. Dumps it inside. Durant, the runner, not there. Weems kicks the ball out to Beverly. 2-on-2 here, and very wisely, Beverly says, let's set it up and go half court.
Did you notice him lose control of the ball and say, I think I'll wait?
5-point Arkansas lead. Thomas puts it on the floor against Ashley Strong. Could not get it to go. And as they battle for it, brought down by Mason of Texas. Abrams for 3.
That's the look. You need space. And he shot it over a guard that time, Ron. There wasn't the length out there to bother him that there was before.
That's the point I was making. You know, the coaches don't want him to stop shooting.
Oh, no, I agree.
He can streak as hot as anybody. 2-point game. Under 6.5 to play. The lob inside to Hill. They tried to get a double on him and a whistle and a foul.
You remember how good a job Arkansas has done in the half court versus the zone? Well, this time in transition, Arkansas slow to get back and cover Abrams. Ball gets into the lane. There's the kick out. Doesn't need much space. But as you mentioned, Ron, he can really heat up.
Durant picks up his 3rd foul.
This is a good news, bad news, Ron. Durant picks up the 3, but this is a 43, 44% foul shooter. Coming into tonight.
Well, obviously, the strength is not in his hair. Misses them both. Weems on the follow. Scored the 2.
Well, that's where Arkansas has done its damage tonight, in the paint.
Back to a 4-point Arkansas lead. Ashley wanting desperately to get the ball to Durant. He's really getting collapsed on.
See, now in this zone, Abrams has got to find some openings. A little tougher versus the set defense.
The cutter, Mason. They're going to call an offensive foul on Mason.
That was very, very close, Ron. Very close as to whether the defender established position. Watch the cut down the lane, and let's judge. On that, he got his feet on the ground. I think that's a good call, but it's so close it could have gone either way.
That's 9 team fouls, player control, but 9 team fouls on the Longhorns. So one more, and it's Arkansas with a double bonus the rest of the way. 5 minutes, 40 seconds left to play. Razorbacks by 4. Three-pointer on the way, not there. Durant rebounds, and Texas will push it. Beverly coming way out on Abrams that time.
And rightfully so.
The bouncer into Durant, scored the 2, and he's fouled. And from that position, when he gets that little amount of space and can put it on the floor, the kiss off the glass is going to be there.
Absolutely. This is basketball IQ. He understands where the angle is in relation to the backboard and the defender. Raises up over Towns and knocks it down.
Towns picks up his 3rd. That's 18 fouls against the Razorbacks. And misses again. Texas 9 of 9, and now they're 9 of 13. They missed 4 in a row.
One thing I would do right now if I were Texas, I would double team the post when it goes in there. Arkansas's post players are not great passers, and you don't want to give them time to operate.
Great point. We'll see if they administer that. Beverly, the lob inside. Turnaround, Weems couldn't get it. The tip by Thomas, not there, and Durant brings down the rebound.
Great length by the freshman. It's not strength there, it's length.
And it was Durant who was motioning to Mason slow down.
Got to find a way to get Abrams free.
Oh, all alone, actually fouled by Weems. Well, ESPN is a college basketball doubleheader on Thursday night. First at 6:30, it is Pittsburgh taking on Oklahoma State in the O'Reilly Auto Parts All-College Classic. Then at 9 o'clock Eastern, the Gonzaga Bulldogs take on the Duke Blue Devils. Holiday Hoop presented by K Jewelers on ESPN2 on Thursday. And, of course, we got the first game of the doubleheader in Oklahoma City. That'll be the Sooners against the Golden Hurricanes of Tulsa.
Jeff Capel, first-year coach. Doug Wojcik doing a nice job at Tulsa and revitalizing that tradition.
And as we discussed earlier in the week, a lot of emotion in that one because Oklahoma saying exactly what Tulsa say. We can't lose to the other guy.
That's it.
So Texas now only 10 of 15 from the free throw line as they have gone cold at the charity stripe. And in a game this close, that may really come back to haunt them.
You're right, one of their last 6. See, I would pressure Irvin now. Too much space out top.
Because Irvin is the man who has had problems with the turnovers Saturday against Tech and also against Missouri. Three-pointer on the way. Irvin not there. Taken down by Durant.
Great block out by Ashley.
Augustine. Texas can take the lead on this trip. They trail 69-68. 3.5 minutes to play.
You see how they shade Abrams again.
Abrams.
How about that? Too late, Ron. Too late. Thomas backed off.
Abrams now with 14 points.
You got to slip a piece of paper between you and Abrams if you're going to guard him.
Ashley trying to guard against Thomas. He does. Short with the shot, and the Longhorns push it up again. Along the baseline, Mason fouled by Hill.
Thomas thought he was on the little guy from Austin, but too late, buddy. Texas by 2.
Texas leads in steals 8-1. The attendance tonight, 14,451, and as we mentioned, the final exams ended yesterday, so a lot of townsfolk who don't get to come in here when the students are in town, taking an opportunity to see the renewal of what has been a really great rivalry for decades and decades between these two great universities.
Rick Barnes has told us, Ron, on a number of occasions, the one game Texas fans ask for when you talk about non-league play, more than any other, is the Arkansas game, and they got it.
Yeah. He also said, for those that say, let's pick a neutral site like Dallas, he said, there are too many Arkansas fans up in Dallas.
Well, you know the history of that Barnhill South. When they came to Dallas, they brought half of the state of Arkansas. Great fan support for the Razorbacks.
Well, the Longhorns have had some runs here in the second half, and they've had to maintain an even state and also to lead. Right now, they're on a 9-2 run over the last 3 minutes and 23 seconds.
Wow, 86% foul shooting.
Well, the people that have gone there are the ones that have missed. As we said, 9 of 9, and now they're only 10 of 16. So one of their last 7. Yep. Misses them both and taken away by Durant. And that ball is stolen. What a job by Weems. Sonny Weems, the junior out of West Memphis.
That time he out-athleted Kevin Durant. Now, how do you get the ball inside to Thomas or Towns?
They look to Towns. They get it. They tried to double, and the ball was taken away, and a foul called on Arkansas.
Now, you can't get any closer a shot. Excellent execution by Stan Heath out of the timeout, and Darian Towns shoots a blank. Great post feed, and right in close, you have to make that.
So Weems, 4 fouls on him. Oh boy. Texas has a couple of players, Mason and also Connor Atchley, who are playing with 4 fouls. This is incredible what's happened at the free throw line. It's like someone has put a lid over that south basket and they finally make one. 72-69, 2.5 minutes left to play.
Arkansas has gotten the ball inside relatively easily. Let's see if they double now.
Thomas outside. Puts it on the floor. Tries to get by Atchley. They will count the hoop, and an opportunity to tie this ball game is Charles Thomas.
Very nice set. They isolated Thomas at the top versus Atchley. This is a guy who, while he's a power forward, Stan Heath wanted him to play away from the basket this season to get the increased size on the floor, and a perfect example of taking advantage of his quickness.
So Atchley has fouled out. We mentioned he was one of 2 players that Texas had on the floor with 4 fouls. So he is gone, and the numbers on Atchley tonight: 7 points, 1 rebound, and he was 1 of 2 for the free throw line.
James now, Ron, comes back in with 4. So if you're Stan Heath, you've got to recognize that and go at his man next time they get the ball.
2:15 left to play. Thomas missed the free throw. Durant went down as he was undercut by Hill.
Well, that was nothing more than clumsiness. That wasn't an accident. I mean, that was an accident, excuse me.
I started to say, oh, no, wait a minute.
Yeah. Hill lost his balance, and Durant, with that length, was in the air.
Boy, Texas about to go to the free throw line. Is 10 team fouls against Arkansas. Look at the second half. 3 of 11 after being 8 of 8. And also the Longhorns had 9 of 9 at a time. And Hill is heading to the bench he has fouled out.
You mentioned nobody has been immune because Kevin Durant comes in shooting 92%, just about. 43 of 47 on the season prior to tonight.
Kevin Durant, 2 shots.
Durant swishes the first one to break the tie, 72-71. First time that these two teams have met, and it's hard to believe, in basketball since 1991. That was the Southwest Conference Championship, and Arkansas won that one by a huge margin. But a rivalry that has been gigantic, and I think will always be that way.
150th meter.
74-71, Longhorns by 3. And a timeout is called by Arkansas. Stan Heath wants to talk it over. Ron Franklin along with Fran Fraschilla coming to you from the Frank Irwin Special Events Center on the campus of the University of Texas. And as Fran just mentioned, 150 times these two teams have met in basketball. And tonight, 14,451 on hand tonight to see this matchup. Arkansas coming off a disappointing loss to Texas Tech this past weekend. That game played up in Little Rock and trying to bounce back. And they have gotten some good play as you take a look at
Big O.
Big O.
Oliver Miller. A Texan doing that to his Longhorn brethren. Of course, Nolan Richardson's team won the last 3 Southwest Conference championships before they departed to the SEC.
Yes.
Now, Ron, Mason has 4, James has 4. So if you're Stan Heath right now,
you take it right at him.
Got to take it at him. Put the onus on the officials to make calls.
And a double bonus situation for both teams. 10 fouls against Arkansas and Texas. Allen Iverson coming up next on, quite frankly, with Stephen A. Smith. Irvin looks up at the shot clock, which now is at 13. And you think they ought to be pressuring Irvin a little bit more, don't you?
You want to pressure the post feeders. Make it tough.
Three-pointer, he got it.
Wow,
and
too much
nobody
space.
was close.
Yep. That's what I was talking about, Ron. No pressure on the ball. Irvin raised up.
We're tied at 74. We could be headed to overtime here in Austin. The bouncer into Durant, and Durant goes down, and they're going to call travel.
I'll tell you what I don't like about that call. The contact forced the offensive player to fall down. And what happened was the official didn't call the first one, so he let the play go. Now, it looks like a flop, but once the player on offense falls down, it's a clear disadvantage situation, in my opinion.
So Arkansas with the basketball, 124 and counting. We're tied at 74. Inside to Thomas, back out. Irvin gets it back and whistle and a foul, and I think that's all for Damian James.
Now, Ron, I think it's a double foul.
I think you're right.
That means James is gone. Thomas is third. And Arkansas will keep the basketball.
Personal foul charge number 3, Charles Thomas, and a personal foul charge number 5, Damian James.
The old rule, Ron, would have been a jump ball and alternating possession. They've changed it. The point of interruption, whoever had the basketball keeps it now, but both players pick up a foul.
So let's draw a line as the shot clock stays at 20. James fouls out 5 points and 7 rebounds. Thomas against Durant. Back to Beverly. Three-pointer on the way. It's short, and Augustine comes up with the basketball. 1:02 to play.
Well, you might as well go back to your horse, but remember this. DJ Augustine took over the LSU game with the dribble.
Durant. Spin move. And the foul is going to be on number 3, Charles Thomas. That's his 4th.
Well, Rick Barnes has gone to Kevin Durant in ISO situations down the stretch.
You know, now either they didn't call a double foul. They're now saying 3 fouls on Thomas rather than 4. Durant gets the first one. Texas by 1. Bends the knee, second one on the way. He's got to be short. Towns comes down with a rebound for Arkansas.
Arkansas has 2 timeouts left.
Irwin calls a timeout, and now the Razorbacks have used one of those 2 as they trail by 1, and we have 41 seconds showing on the clock. Let's talk strategy. What do you do right here?
Well, first of all, Stan Heath has taken the full timeout, so he has 60 seconds to figure something out. What's worked for him best all night has been to isolate their post players. Let's get the chalkboard up, and we'll show you what they've run to try to get the ball inside. Thomas has been their best offensive player in the post. Thomas is in the post. They have run Patrick Beverly off the post to clear his man out and have entered it from the wing with Gary Irvin. Thomas then has room to isolate himself one-on-one. If you double team him, Ron, Thomas has got to kick it out. Beverly and Irving then either shoot the 3 or make a play off the drive.
One of the things also that Arkansas worked on for quite a time today in the shoot-around, and that was going straight inside with a lob and with the presence physically of coming away with the dunk by Thomas.
And what Rick Barnes has to tell his team now is the perimeter players must pressure the pass into the post, because the first post defender is the man guarding the ball. We saw earlier when you have room to look inside, it makes it very easy to lob it over the top. So whoever is guarding the ball now must pressure that pass into the post.
41 seconds left in the ball game. And Durant is 43 of 47 on the season, only 5 of 9 at the free throw tonight. So the free throw line right now, one of the differences, not the only difference, but one of the things that has plagued the Texas Longhorns in the second half. Here we go, Arkansas to inbound. They look inside to Towns. Thomas puts it on the floor, knocked away by Abrams, and the ball touched last by Abrams. It'll be Arkansas basketball, 16 on the shot, 28 on the game clock.
Well, they looked inside to Towns, and remember, Thomas also has shown that ability to drive. Keep your eye on Beverly now coming off these screens.
There's the lob play I was just talking about, and they scored on it. Towns was right there, and the lob as they put him right in the paint from about 6 feet away, and they executed perfectly. So it's Arkansas by 1, and the Longhorns have 22 ticks left.
Watch this, Ron. Sonny Weems gets the play. Now, I want you to freeze it, guys. Freeze it. Run it back. What happens is the man guarding Weems does not watch the ball. He's only watching Weems. So a smart point guard knows he can throw it up as long as the defender is not watching, and this is perfectly executed. Go ahead, guys. There it is. You must see both the ball and your man, particularly when you're guarding a man that close to the rim.
So the situation, 75 for Texas, 76 for Arkansas. The Longhorns have the ball, and there are 22 ticks left on the clock. Okay, Coach, well, let's go back to the chalkboard. Who do you go to?
Well, here's the dilemma now for Rick Barnes. If you put the ball in Kevin Durant's hands, you may invite a lot of double teaming. They've been isolating Durant on the wing, but that allows some defenders to get in the way and come help. What has worked for Texas in the past is the high pick and roll for Augustine to get to the rim, kick it for a 3, or maybe dump it inside.
Okay, we'll see. Both teams break the huddles and almost said come to the line of scrimmage.
And it wouldn't be unfamiliar when you're talking Texas, Arkansas.
No. 76-75. Arkansas on top. Augustine to pull the trigger.
Zone, Ron, so that takes away any isolation plays. Good
Abrams
strategy.
Looks up at the clock. Inside of 18. Augustine back over to Mason. Mason drives the middle. Wow! Scores. He'll go to the free throw line. 12 seconds still left in this ball game. Well, a long way from over.
You got to be concerned about Durant, Abrams, and Augustine. So what does the unheralded freshman do, Mason? He takes it right down the middle of the gut. Watch this, and watch him hang in the air, draw the contact, and softly knock it in. Talk about guts.
So Rick Barnes grabs his chalkboard. Stan Heath grabs his chalkboard at the other end of the floor. And we got a lot of chalk talking going on right now.
Well, the first key is for Mason to knock down the shot, give Texas a 2-point lead. Now, Stan Heath has a timeout left. This is a situation, Ron, where rather than call timeout, if I'm Arkansas, I always like to get it in quick and push it versus a defense on the move that's not set. A lot of teams will get it to midcourt, call timeout. Other teams have worked on this situation and will get it in quick and try to make a play in the open court.
So you don't look for them to call a timeout once they get it across midcourt.
I'm telling you what I would like to do, but other coaches will take the timeout, and he does have one to use.
Well, you know this young man. You coached against him when he was playing at Eastern Michigan.
That's right.
There's the free throw. He makes it, so it's a 2-point Texas lead, 78-76. Here come the Razorbacks.
No timeout.
Crossover in the middle. He is fouled, and he'll go to the free throw line as he's fouled by Matt Hill.
And did you notice now, on the move, Texas doesn't get a chance to lock in and set their defense. Irvin comes up the floor on the move. Now watch, they're backpedaling. Defense is not set. Irvin is able to create, get to the lane, and draw contact.
Arkansas down by a pair. First one on the way. He almost didn't draw iron. Rick Barnes talking to the officials to call a timeout, and he gets a 30-second timeout here. One more free throw to come.
And one of the reasons, and you know, when they all came to the bench, every assistant coach put the arms out like, we must block out here. Point of emphasis right now, most important play in the game, make sure you make contact and come up with a missed rebound. The other thing you're doing now is the ball goes in and you're up one, you better have a good press offense and make sure you get the ball in cleanly.
All right, with the size and the physical nature inside of Thomas and also Towns, would they dare try to put it in a tip situation, in other words, to miss this free throw? It's 5 seconds left.
Good strategy now, because if Arkansas doesn't do that, they're going to have to foul right away, and then they're going to have to go length of the floor in under 5 seconds. I would make the free throw, set up my press, and foul immediately, because they still have a timeout left.
Thomas and Durant lined up side by side, and a smile on both of their faces. Shots on the way, missed them both. The ball is tipped, and it will go to Texas. 4 seconds showing on the clock.
I don't think he tried to miss it on purpose.
And now Arkansas will call a 30-second timeout.
Well, how about the young man, Justin Mason from Amarillo? The least hyped of all these excellent Texas freshmen, with the presence of mind to attack the defense. Probably the last option on the floor besides Matt Hill. Gets to the lane, puts Texas on top.
Well, a reminder that Texas Tech and Coach Bob Knight on ESPN2 for the next 3 ball games. Coach Knight hoping against Bucknell to tie for the all-time win lead. That would be Saturday afternoon. Fernandel will be out in Lubbock. That's a 3:30 Central Time tip-off. And then the 2 games after that, UNLV and New Mexico. Those games also on ESPN2. Our situation, 4 seconds left. Texas 78-76. And the Longhorns about to inbound the basketball, and Augustine is the man who will pull the trigger. They got 4 seconds to get off the clock. The lob goes to Durant, and why not? He is the highest percentage as far as free throw shooting, although Texas has cratered in the second half at the free throw line. Probably the man that the odds would be the highest with.
Well, and you can also throw the ball the highest to him, which is what Texas did right there.
That's the best point of all right there. Right here in front of us, number 21, Beverly. Patrick, a freshman out of Chicago. Well, what an effort by him if he loses ball game tonight. 19 points and 8 rebounds. And for Thomas, Charles Thomas, a double-double. 19 points and 10 rebounds. Durant knocks it down.
Hey, Ron, now the only chance Arkansas has now, if on a miss, we've said this before, they'll have at least 3, maybe 4 dribbles to get it up the floor. Durant makes it, it's lights out.
4-point game, yes, he does. Texas will win this very close matchup, it would appear, as the ball is touched 3 seconds, down to 2, and the shot is off and almost went. Texas will win it by 4. But I'm not sure that that score says exactly how close this game was, even at 4 points. Fran, when these two clubs play, I don't care if it took since 1991 to renew it, it is always that kind of contest.
Well, we saw 2 good young basketball teams out of conference. Good win for Texas.
So the final score is Texas 80, Arkansas 76. Up next at ESPN2, Stephen A. Smith. And for more on this game, tune into ESPN News for a post-game extra. I'm Ron Frankman. For Fran Frischella and our entire ESPN crew, this has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Final again, 80-76 Texas. So long from Austin.